Good afternoon. My name is Dale Rodriguez, and this is Flabonga Monthrothacube. And with me today, I've got co-host
Tony Stevenson.
I hate this is mirrored. I always point that way because you're that way on my
Yeah.
screen, but it's mirrored, so I should point that way. So apologies to anyone who was looking to listen to or speak to, interact with, or engage with Mark Lee. Like I said in my post, a slight snafu. Mark can't be here today, but he has rescheduled for the end of April. I want to say the 23rd. I think that's a Wednesday. So we're speaking to Mark. In the interim, you've got me and Tony. We can talk about stuff.
We're just going to chat. Does this count as like? I don't know, because I've obviously been on the pod as a non-co-host like twice before. So this doesn't count as the third go because I'm played.
Well, no, because usually some form of planning goes on in my head as when I ask the person. This has not happened at this time. It's just me shooting the breeze.
I like that. I am really looking forward to talking to Mark because I like in our world now where there has been a surge in influencer characters over the course of the last 3 years or so, for the better. I think there's
too many if you ask me.
Too many. Well, naturally people naturally fade out of it, right? Because it's just a process of like people put their heads above because they got something to promote, or they want to do that, and then actually they change jobs or they move out the industry or whatever, and some stick, some don't. But Mark has been doing the creator thing for quite some time. And he's very consistent, and I have had sort of snapshot conversations with him very briefly at events, but never really kind of got to interrogate him, because I find the whole creator, I don't like the word influencer, but like creator thing, I find a fascinating way to put your thoughts and value out into the world. So I really am interested to get into it with him and find out like what he's seeing and how he finds that existence. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to speaking to him.
Same. I mean, he's done it or did it before it was kind of cool. Like he's been in the industry like 35 plus years.
Yeah.
And is still like relevant and has a ton of experience. So
I think he was he a partner at BDO? I think that was.
He's been at Crow. He's been at BDO. Wintermark. If anyone knows about Wintermark, they're incredible like C-suite type gurus. He's done a lot of executive senior leadership stuff, so he knows what he's talking about.
Interesting. I look forward to getting into it with him.
What accounting events are you going to this year?
I was going to say all of them, but it's not all of them. So me personally, I attended Fab last week as a day guest on the first day, which was nice because I don't know about you, but like I struggle to enjoy the events to maximum capacity until I have completed my speaking obligations. I was getting into this with somebody last week about like speaking and nerves and all that sort of stuff. And I don't suffer, in the main, don't suffer terribly with them. But my nerves are usually around, I will get the wrong day and I'll turn up to Accountex on the wrong week. Or like, I'll think that my talk is at 4 o'clock and actually it's at 9:30 and I'm in the wrong place talking to somebody about something and the talk's then trying to happen without me, that type of stuff. Yeah. So usually sort of like once I'm there and I've got my mic on, that's like the bit where I'm like, I'm really going to struggle to like not be in the right place when this happens. Now I'm at the stage, I've seen it written down on the form of that's when I'm going. It was quite nice to go to Fab, albeit for just a few hours, to kind of catch up with people and to sort of not have any speaking obligations, as Jem and Marianne and our team did a fabulous job of chairing our talk, which was really cool, with Penny Allard. And we went to Alternative, but I didn't go to that one because they're very tight on the numbers, and it was two other people that went to that. So Danielle and Dave went to that. So I'm going to DAS and I'm going to Accountex as well.
Cool. That is pretty much free and covered all of them, right?
Yes, I think we worked out that we had something like 15 15 events in 13 weeks or something like that, when we looked at sort of all the different things that we were doing, our road shows and other bits and pieces which are going on at the moment. Manchester road shows on today. So
that is full on. That's full on.
Which ones are you doing?
So I was at alternate. I didn't do Fab, and I'll be doing DAS and Accountex London. Not Accountex North though. It's kind of far for me.
It is. I have done it for the last couple of years, and I would imagine that I will be there again this year.
Cool. Okay, random question that popped into my head. In your opinion, who are the movers and shakers of 2024, 2025 within the accounting fintech space?
That is a great question. I feel like it would be very remiss of us to discuss a topic like this without mentioning James Sundin.
But I don't know, came to my mind.
Yeah, like sort of the yardstick for folk in our space in terms of like just relentless presence, right? And I liked he said the other day, I was talking to him and he was like, I just use LinkedIn like my journal. I just sort of like kind of just talk about stuff that's in my brain. I don't worry too much about like what other people think or what other people how they're receiving it. I just kind of like to put it out there and, you know, put my vibes out into the world and see what you know, what comes back to me, kind of thing. So I am going to start with James, which is I think a pretty safe bet in that space. For anyone that isn't aware of James, has been hiding under a LinkedIn rock for the last 18 months, then he is the founder of Represent, and I'm sure we'll be delighted for you to talk to you about what Represent do. He's leaning into the people don't know what they do chat recently, so yeah. And I know he's got a big launch coming. I'm sure he'll be delighted.
Well, his third phase, right? Phase 3 is happening.
I think it's stage 3. Stage 3, yeah. So I've gone with James. You go.
I mean, I was going to say James as well. He's the first one that comes to mind. The colours are bright, they're vibrant. I see his posts every day. At one point, I stopped following just to see if I could stop seeing his posts. No, they still came through. I was like, fine. And he comments on this as well sometimes as well. He's always saying some fun stuff, and he's been on a few times. Other movers and shakers. Can't think of anyone right now, to be honest.
Do you need more thinking time? So
I do need more thinking time. Thank you.
Okay. So Grace Hardy is obviously a mover and shaker over the course of the last 18 months. I don't know Grace. I've never spoken to Grace, but I have obviously seen a lot of her presence online. So I think she definitely falls into that category. She's done a lot with the AAT and a lot with starting her practice. And I saw a post of hers the other day saying that she was going to be acquiring firms now as well. So
nice.
A ton of stuff going on in her corner. So yeah, I think she definitely falls into that category.
I've got one, but he doesn't like exposure. So he's a mover and shaker, but he's doing it on a down low.
Okay.
Yeah, he's clever.
Ian, shadow mover and shaker.
Ian Butler of Golding Accountancy in Essex.
Okay.
So he started his own firm 8-9 years ago. Okay. He grew it to a point where it's like I can kind of chill. And he's like, I'm kind of bored now, so he bought another firm in Essex and he's kind of built that up. He runs a group called Brilliant Accountants Asking Dumb AF Questions. It is possibly one of the best Facebook accounting bookkeeping communities I've seen. He curates it really, really well. The rule is don't be a dickhead, right? And you'll get people on there who are fairly senior in the industry who maybe forgotten some things, and they'll go, guys, I know this is a dumb question. I know I should know this, but what's the answer? And some oracle,
I like that.
Will come in and go, I did this last week because I do it all the time. And there's some people in our community, in the sector in the UK, should I say, that have gone on there, relatively high profile, who just are having a brain fart moment, and it's a pretty judgment-free zone. And then if any nastiness gets taken out, there are some vendors on there, but not a lot. We make sure that they're just, they're kept in check. So he is a mover and shaker.
Ian Butler.
I probably just ruined his whole plan by telling people who are watching this
Yeah.
Because he's very quiet. He doesn't do much on the socials.
Very obviously, our millions of listeners and viewers will know about that now, mate. So
Yeah, I mean, he was on the show like years ago, actually, but he wasn't his normal self because he's like me, right? Like his sense of humor is twisted and wicked, so he couldn't be his true self in front of other people. So it was a very reserved conversation between he and I, and we both laughed at the end because we were both super polite. It's like, yeah, we were both super polite.
Yeah. Hence why he operates in stealth mode, maybe.
Maybe.
Not everyone is for the public platform, right? But that is an interesting one. Cool. I like that. I am going to go close to home and say Kirsty Mitchell. So Kirsty has...
Stop taking all the people I'm thinking of.
All right. I'll tell you what. It'd be much more interesting to hear your take on Kirsty than it will be to take my take on Kirsty, because obviously I know Kirsty and I work with her, and we work on a lot of similar projects, and I see her from a free agent perspective. So you go.
Absolute powerhouse of marketing and absolute genius. She has uplifted and revolutionized the free agent brand. I don't know how she's done it. Some magic sorcery, but like there's a you can look at free agent at a certain point, and you can when Kirsty was hired, and you can go, there's a significant change in brand awareness. I assume she's done some crazy Machiavellian things and made sure that things get sent out in the right way in communications. And I think the free agent bus was her idea, right? That kind of VW camper van. I don't know, the van, right? Yeah. So yeah. Marketing genius. And I don't trust marketeers, because everyone says don't trust a salesperson, right? But it's the marketeers that make you want stuff you don't even realize it. It's the subtlety. So she's very good at what she does.
She is very good at what she does. So I think,
and she's also really short.
I don't think she's really short.
Pretty short, mate.
I think that to credit the correct person for the van, I think it was, I really hope I get this right, I think it was Sai, actually, who came up with the van creative and then brought it to life. So that is definitely the case. I've worked closely with Kirsty for a while now, and she is great at like kind of bringing structure and order to things as well, which is really cool. She's got an incredibly talented team of people that work for her, in Ina and Sybil and Georgia and Marianne and Claire, and and all the rest of the people that work for her team. But she made the conscious decision beginning of last year, I think, to put herself out there on LinkedIn. And has been insanely consistent with posting, more so than I'm able to do, and has made a bunch of connections out there and brings a nice slant on the marketing stuff. And like you said, I've always found marketing to be sort of fascinating, like, because sales is quite sort of like it's one of those things that's sort of there right in front of you, right? And you can sort of see it, and you can sit in that chair and sit in those meetings and sort of see somebody selling something to somebody, and you've probably had it like directly happen to you as well when you bought a car or a sofa or whatever it was as well. Whereas I always find marketing to be just so fascinating, how it taps into people inside their brain and makes them do things that they otherwise wouldn't have done had it not been for that influence near or far. If anyone wants to get into it a little bit, there's an interesting thread going on LinkedIn right as we speak, with James Ashford, and I was pouring through Jordan Vickery's response to it around the sort of nuances of like brand awareness marketing versus kind of like direct target acquisition marketing, and their slightly differing takes on whether brand awareness marketing is something that you should engage with or not.
So I think you should do it, but you have to do it at the right time in your business. If you're a startup, brand awareness is not the best way to spend your time or money.
It's also more arguing about what the definition of it was, and like what certain things that you do, where they fall within there. It's quite an interesting, actually. I read through quite a bit of it, and I see both sides of the argument. But yeah, Kirsty is definitely a mover and a shaker in our world, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else. Let me quickly go through my LinkedIn contacts. I'll type.
I worry we will offend people by having missed them off this list. This extensively well-planned list that we came up with long in advance of this call.
For those people that get upset, I'll say
Sorry.
to you what I say to my 5-year-old daughter. Your tears will only make me stronger.
Okay.
Kaylee Graham, she's a mover and shaker. She's everywhere. She's talking about everything. She's respected. Yeah, she's someone that I like listening to and following, generally speaking.
Not scared to share a strong opinion either, which I respect in people. Right?
Yeah.
Saying what you think. Yeah, definitely. I think, I don't know if he's necessarily classed as a mover and a shaker in the sense that he has in the last year or so, in the sense that he's been around for longer than that. But I think that his live stream and Aaron's live stream, so Johan and Aaron from the Ask the Accountant pod/live stream, seems to have morphed into a network recently. So I'm interested. I haven't spoken to Johan about what that means for the network, whether it's just a change of name or whether it's a change of approach, whether it's something that we should be part of if it's a network. But yeah, internally they get a lot of traction. There's a lot of sense talked on their platform, and yeah, Johan's done a pretty solid job, hasn't he, with Engager? Like, he has really really made something that the market loves, and that sort of translates also into the work that they do in putting information out there for people to understand, what's going on in our world as well. So yeah, and they're consistently every Monday morning 8:30 they go live.
Sorry, as you can tell, I'm listening, talking about Johan and their network, but I'm also playing with settings since we've got the opportunity to do so. That's too much yellow. That's not quite enough.
That's just an accent. Yeah,
a little bit round. All right, cool.
I'm sure that won't have any. It won't be disorientating in any way for anybody that's viewing.
Any of our 3 viewers. No one's watching this later. Sometimes I get stats when I'm live. It's intermittent on StreamYard. There's no one watching this call. It's just you and me talking. It's going to be recorded, and that's it.
That's it. Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. I'm going to share a controversial thought. You mentioned networks.
Yes.
I strongly dislike, and I might be involved in it unwittingly, some of the networking, or I say camaraderie, that's the wrong word, inner circle stuff that happens in our industry. Do you know so and so? Do you know so and so? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
Okay, and why do you strongly dislike that, mate?
I don't know. Some people use it, and I feel like they use it to boost their own egos, to gatekeep. Yeah, and in some cases they may not have earned that privilege. That, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit teenage girl type stuff sometimes. Like, do you know so and so? I don't know.
Maybe. This is an interesting topic. So, like, networking, right? Is one of those things, a bit like public speaking, that people don't really.
Oh, Simon's here. Thanks, Simon. He's feeling disoriented. Yeah, Mr. Lost.
Hey, Simon. Yeah, you introduced us many moons ago, Dale, and we sort of had a bit of back and forth, but we were going to jump on a call and never got around to it. I'm fairly sure
he's a good guy.
That is the case. So apologies for that, Simon. Networking, that's an interesting topic. Let's talk about that. So, how do you like to network, and how do you go about it? Like, for someone who's like trying to get, like, they like, these guys have got like great networks. I'm not about us, right? So somebody else that has great networks, right? That's great. It has great network. How do you go about acquiring a network, right? Because it is important, and that whole your network is your net worth thing, right?
Not true, for sure.
Corny, but like, it is. There's some value in it, right? Definitely.
So wait, I in my head I split it into 2 sections. There's networking I do to acquire clients, and there's networking I do to acquire peers within industry. There's 2 different things. When it's for acquiring clients, I'm very, very picky where I network. Whilst being a social creature, I'm actually an introvert, so I find it very draining. And I think anyone in our industry as well knows that when it comes to networking and trying to find clients in networks outside of our industry, everyone flocks to the accountant and bookkeeper because they want to sell through us. So I find that very tiring.
Sure, yeah.
So it's got to be the right kind of network, and not in a snobbish way, just people I can actually genuinely trust. And then for me, networking industry, I don't know, I haven't purposely done it. I just talk to people, and if they're cool and we vibe, that's it. Like you and I, right? We met at one event like 3 or 4 years ago. We both like barbecue, we both like lifting weights, and we talk occasionally. I send you duck pics in the DMs. What more do you want?
Exactly, right, exactly. Because I think that like a lot of people associate networking with going to like a sort of breakfast meeting with a bunch of people that have business cards, and and you have to kind of go and make those slightly awkward conversation intros into groups of people that probably know each other because maybe they've been there before, and it all sort of feels a little bit forced and a little bit uncomfortable, right? And I've never been a particularly big fan of that type of networking. I don't think it really yields a huge amount for me, because I think it often is built on less about people and more about like how you can transact with somebody, which isn't necessarily the best way to build a long-term network, I don't think. But yeah, like I think that just like reaching out to people and saying like, let's have a chat. I know that sounds stupid, but like how many times you have a conversation with somebody and you find out that you have something in common, or that you have some person that you both used to work with, or some project that they're kind of working on, like, and it's kind of rare that those conversations take place. I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm kind of granted the freedom to have those types of conversations without there necessarily needing to be a like cutthroat ROI on the time spent, which is great, and not everyone is afforded that opportunity, right? If you're in practice on a timesheet and you suddenly bung 12 hours of just chatting to people exactly onto your books without a single client out the back of it, or project, or collaboration opportunity, then that's probably going to be some questions asked pretty quickly about that kind of thing. So but yeah, like, and you just chip away at it, right? Over the years, I've been in this world now for like 10 years before I moved out of practice and into the software world, and you just like, you get to know people, and people are so receptive to like, let's have a chat, go to the event, speak to people, get intros. I've had people reach out to me and say, can you intro me to this person? And I've introed them, and then they've ended up like doing something really cool with that person, which is always nice to see, right?
Okay, I've got a little bit of a whinge. Going back to the networking where you have to like acquire business. One thing I hate about networking, you mentioned the morning breakfast ones, not naming names. Sometimes those events attract people who are playing at business. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a certain turnover to network with me or talk or anything like that, but there are some people who, like, I don't know, they quit their day job, they have a spouse that earns a fair wage, and they go, I think I want to try and do this. And they kind of try and do it, but they bumble the way through it, and they're just kind of doing it for fun. And it's like they have no intention of growing. They're probably not even profitable, but yet they take up all the networking time. It's like, that annoys me.
I see. And also maybe you could put into that category as well, like, this is just like, I can't remember where I got it from. It's like the concept of there being like, there's motion and then there's action, and like motion is just kind of doing stuff vaguely around the thing that you're trying to move forward, and then there's action, which is actually doing the things that move your business forward. So like the example is always like, someone's trying to set up a business and they spent 7 months doing a logo, and actually if they'd spent 7 months, they didn't want to launch the business until the logo was perfect, like procrastination-y type thing. So maybe some networking potentially falls into that category of motion, not action, right?
Yeah, and those people irk me.
I'm
not saying you have to aim to be a millionaire. I'm not saying you have to have 6 figures, but just like be intentional when you're at these events. Don't just bumble along.
Don't waste people's time.
It's very annoying.
Yeah.
Other people irk me at networking. I have nothing against network marketing. However, generally speaking, if they go to a networking event, the relationship is not two-way. They want you to use their product, but they can't use your product or service generally, not all the time. But That's my experience.
And I think it would, like, with networking across your peer group, you've got some knowledge that there is going to be some crossover because you're kind of already in the same giant warehouse of a room. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, yeah.
No, that's fun, because sometimes I know when I talk to other people, other accountants, like we have a VAT specialist team who are actually hot. So sometimes we win work, like, and we've got an agreement. We don't touch their client in any other way. It's just like they need some support with some specialist VAT work. We get some work. Their client gets a good service. We get some fees. Everyone's happy. That stuff I like.
Yeah, feels like there's more of that now, like of that sort of cross referring of firms to each other to kind of cover specialist bases, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your typical firm's margin? Somewhere like kind of typical is 20, but good is 40. Is that right? Like a kind of
I think that's most firms. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you refer them in and you refer them in for a cut, which is not uncommon, right? Then you're getting the profit bit that you would got anyway, or most of it, for just an intro rather than them to actually do the work, right? Which
correct.
Alleviates pressure on your teams. I know that's a reductive way of looking at it for anyone that's listening. It's like, that's not how it works.
That's pretty much how it works. Yeah, you made it simple. That's kind of how it works. Yeah. All right. Have I got my rant out? I think I have. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. This is like
That's
therapy.
all right, mate. It is. It's just like therapy. Yeah, exactly.
All right, in that case, I got to ask you, man. What's your pet peeve or beef of networking? Anything you just really? I think you kind of mentioned it, the early morning type formulaic ones. Anything else?
It's not networking, but it's similar. Is the instant pitch slap. So like, if you connect with somebody, and then I actually did it once, and I really wish I'd filmed it, but I didn't. And I was like connected at like 1:37, and then the pitch arrived in my inbox at 1:38. Copied, and I don't know, like, and I wonder. It makes me wonder, because I always think that behaviors like that are kind of irritating usually people don't keep doing things that don't yield results. So I do wonder, like, if there is a group of people out there that buys from cold DMs. And there are. I'm not going to point fingers because it's not fair, but there are like certain sections of our world that are worse for this than others. And it's not. It seems to go in waves, and in a wave at the moment, but like, I don't think that, especially when you're selling something sophisticated and you're not selling like a poncho to somebody, and it's
so you're not going to say which demographic it is. Can I say it, because I'm happy to take that bullet?
It's not a demographic, it's a type of service that
I've got two that I get inundated with. I'll say it just, and you can. One is outsourcing / offshoring. I get connected to by some people I've never met before. They have not looked at my profile. Sometimes I accept and say, look, this is not my area, but other times it's like, good Lord, you just need to see who I am to know that it's not my thing. I'm not responsible for that. And the other one is payment providers. In the last 2 years, like, I've been inundated with payment providers. We integrate with Xero. We do 0.5% on international transfers, and it's just been so many.
The irony of it is, so the first one is what I was talking about. The second one, I don't think I've ever had that. But that's interesting, because that is quite a big part of what I do, is integrations, right? So they're hitting you and they're not hitting me, but they should be hitting me. And maybe this is opening up myself up for a flood of DMs for that. But
let me see. Any payment processors and providers, please speak to Tony Stevenson at Free Agent. Don't worry, I'm not going to dox you, man. I'm not going to put your email address out here, but it's so many have approached me, all with
it's
innovative
crazy.
and new ways to make payments, and
that's not true. I have had some, but they've been in a coming through a formal channel rather than just like connect and fire.
And the best thing is, a lot of them, if they're UK based, there's like an underlying platform that a lot of them use that's underneath their payment solution. I'm not going to give the game away, but like,
yeah.
like they piggyback off someone else's architecture and then like do it their way. It's quite funny.
That is quite funny. I would like to point out that I have I have no problems with connecting with folks who are concerned with either of those types of delivery at all whatsoever. I always accept connection requests if people think that a connection request is a valuable thing for me. Then I'll trust that they've got some form of some form of cross pollination. But that's another. So I noticed that Dale is about 5 connections short of 5,000 connections, which I think makes you worldwide famous president, £250,000 pay rise.
Am I?
Instantly.
Okay, yes. Didn't realize. Yes. Right, cool.
Yeah, so I am your EA when it comes to your connections. So I'm doing this for you. So
Thanks,
if we have like 5 or 6 people out here who aren't connected with Dale, connect with Dale because he's almost at 5,000, and that feels like a nice round number. I don't know. I saw Max.
Is that when I get to join a secret club, the 5,000 club?
I think so. It's the big club. It's the 10 is the big one, but 5 is the you stepping into the into that world. Max Whiteley, as of Dex fame, he passed 10,000 connections yesterday, and he did quite a cute little bit of crack on his LinkedIn about that, and nice little graphic that he'd done for himself, which I found quite amusing. I don't know, Max. We've had a couple of comment threads back and forth, but not a ton of face-to-face stuff. But yeah, I just thought it was quite amusing. And he said that he was now part of the secret club because he was past 10,000. So yeah,
the club where you get, because you've got like quite a few followers, man. You got like 13. Is it 13,000?
13.5, something like that. Yeah,
nice.
Been grinding away for a long time. I've never really managed to grow exponentially, though. It's always been a pretty steady grind. We do need to get the one who always like, who I always like, how do you do it? It's John Oakley from FuseSign. He manages to grow consistently hundreds a month, and he's got a little technique that he uses, which I don't know what that is, but he said he'll tell me one day. I have to buy him a beer or something to get out of him. But yeah, he's got a little technique apparently.
Good to know. I might ask him.
You might, yeah. See, network useful.
Am I connected to John? Let's see.
You must be. Of course you are. Impossible you couldn't be.
Yes, we are connected. He posted about Guinness recently. Good times.
Say your tipple.
I do like Guinness.
I do like Guinness. I've grown to like it as I've got older. Wasn't a drink of choice of mine, but as I've realised, lager just does not make me feel good. So I like the Guinness.
I say that. I like beer, but I don't drink much beer anymore.
Me neither.
Too many carbohydrates, man.
Exactly, got to look after yourself, right?
Yep.
Indeed. I had something that pops into my head then, and that was it. So like LinkedIn connection, right? Do you feel the need when you connect with somebody to write them a personalized message?
Do you mean when I hit the connect button? Because you used to be able to do a personalized message every single time, but if you don't have a premium, you limit to like 3. So I prefer to, because I think it's a nice thing to do. But sometimes I run out of the intro, so I don't. But then if they accept my connection, I will message them and say, I reached out to you for this reason. I don't just connect. There's probably a reason why I've connected with somebody. Yeah. It might be something simple like, your post was hilarious. You're my kind of person. Keep doing your stuff. That's it. But I will always send a message saying that's the reason why I connected. So yeah, generally I feel like it's a good idea.
See, I don't. Maybe I'm lazy. No, I see that a broad interest in accountancy or bookkeeping or technology or something is enough for me to have connected with somebody. And if they don't want to connect with me, that's fine. That's no problem. I'm sure that my outreach connection ratio is impacted by not doing it, but I'm also quite lazy. So
not lazy, pragmatic.
Pragmatic, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And if people want to connect with me and don't feel the need to write a connection message on there, then I'm not bothered about that at all.
Oh, sometimes I do a reverse pitch slap.
How
So
explain?
someone connects with me, they don't message me for like a couple of days. So I'll say, hey, so and so. If they're in fintech or bookkeeping or accounting, I'll say something like, I can see you're bookkeeping and accounting. You don't need any bookkeeping and accounting services from me. What can I do for you? Like that. Or if it's someone completely outside the industry, I'll be like, I can see you do this. I can see you work on this. How can I/KR help you with this? Do you need needs? I'll just reverse pitch slap it.
Yeah.
They
No, I
connected with
did.
me, and I need to make sure they connected with me for a reason. And if there's a reason, I'll ask them what that reason was.
Yeah, so I don't do that with everybody, but if there's something that I find particularly interesting, like they've connected with me and I'm gonna have a quick look at their business and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Like, oh, that's not something I know about or something like that, then I will sometimes do that. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Right, what controversial things can we talk about? You still haven't answered my
I
dating
love
question.
your approach. Just still don't have an answer to it, really.
I can't remember the proper question. I think it's something like,
It's recorded. We can go back and find it, right?
Yeah. I remember it's asking you about God in some way.
It was,
which one do you believe in, or I don't know.
It was something like, what's your favorite God? Like, which one do you think is the best one? Essentially, I think was the question. I was like, I really don't know. I really don't know.
Who's your favorite Marvel character? Do you have a favorite Marvel character?
No, and the reason I don't is because I have never engaged with Marvel in any form whatsoever.
We can't be friends anymore. I'm just gonna cut him off entirely. Never engaged with Marvel. Unbelievable.
Oh dear. Yeah, just mate, I'm not much of a like filmsy kind of person, and I just never engaged with it, so I don't have one. So maybe give me some homework. Maybe I should start.
Yeah, watch all of them.
Watch them
all of them, and I know you can do it because I got my sister to do it a couple of last year. She's like, Dale, I never really vied with it. I was like, sort yourself out. Watch them in release order. These are a few of the ones you might want to skip because they're not as great, but just watch them, right?
And how many is there roughly, do you think?
I'm like 15, I think. 15, 16, I think in total. Wow. You got like the Iron Man 1, 2, 3, is it 4? And you got a Hulk one. There's 4 Thor ones, 3 Avengers ones, and there's some other ones, all in the MCU.
Okay.
And Spider-Man ones.
If you would have a choice between watching Marvel or watching Star Wars,
Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't like Star Wars.
Oh yeah, you didn't, did you? Yeah, it was our man.
It was Ruben.
It was Rubes. He was a big Star Wars fan, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, hello. Mark Harrison. Hey, nonsense works for me. What up, Mark?
Thanks, Mark. Do you know Mark?
Cool dude. Yeah, he is in Scotland. He does offshore oil rigging stuff.
Okay.
And I think is it LFR Marine? I can't remember. Let me look it up before I butcher his company name.
See, our reach spreads far and wide, mate.
LHR Marine. There we go. He's been on the show twice. But one time he saved my bacon. The person who was supposed to be on cancelled last second. So I came on live all by myself. Like, sorry guys, there's no one on. And he went, I'll jump on. Sent him a link, and we had a good old chat about marining and marine works and engineering and offshoring and his career. And we talked about whiskey as well.
Oh, yeah.
Man knows his whiskey.
Well, Free Agent is a Scottish company based in Scotland, based in Edinburgh. So.
Yeah. Oh, Mark's asked a good question. What would Trump and Putin's superhero names be?
I don't know. It concerns me about putting that kind of content out on the internet for the world to consume. If I'm honest, if I haven't got an answer to the God question, I'm not sure if I've got an answer to that question.
My immediate response is to make it a Marvel comic book reference, and so Trump being American, Captain America, and Putin Omega Red. Like they're both in the X-Men kind of superhero space.
And I
based that on nationality. That or Putin could be Colossus. Yeah, he's Russian, I think.
There you go. Smashed it. How well fielded.
Yeah, dodge that like a bullet in the Matrix. That reference is lost on so many people, by the way. That's how old we are, you and I.
Have seen the Matrix.
Yeah, we've seen it, but there's people who just haven't seen it because they're younger than us.
Yeah. Yeah, that type of thing just terrifies me. I just find it, yeah, like
I mean,
stuff
you
that's
know,
generational, passing by, and then
the snog, marry, avoid question I've asked, and I use Popeye, Bugs Bunny, and SpongeBob.
yes.
I asked it to someone, and they were like, "Who's Popeye?"
Oh yeah, you said this, man.
That was very upsetting.
That is
But
quite
a
upsetting.
classic.
He was the original Arms Day, right?
Well, forearm for some reason, like
Yeah,
yeah,
that was he was classic, absolute
yep,
classic, and he somehow managed to build incredible arms, flying strongly in the face of all sports science evidence that suggests that protein is the key macronutrient for building muscle. Because his magic power was to eat spinach, which is
yep,
basically calorie free. So no protein, nothing in it really. It's just kind of a vehicle for nutrients, right?
yep.
So incredible, really amazing, and proven because it was in cartoon. So
Yep, just like the carrots make you see better in the dark. That's not true, right?
probably not.
Well, I don't know if this is like a conspiracy thing or a rumor upon a rumor, but I heard a rumor that was World War II propaganda that the Alliance shared because they didn't want the Axis to know that we developed like really good radar or something like that. So their excuse for pilots being able to shoot people down so well is like, oh, we've been eating so many carrots we can see well in the dark. But apparently it's stuck. So because I was told to eat carrots because it's good for your eyesight. But it's like, I mean, it is, but it's not like some massive macronutrient dense thing. It's just like, no, they had a good radar system. They wanted to hide the fact they had a good radar system.
Carrots. It was carrots. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, if that is true, that is fascinating.
I'm going to read this in my head before I read it out loud because, like, last time
what I thought you were going to say was something along the lines of like eating vegetables prevented scurvy, for example, and that affected your eyesight, and therefore it was more of a kind of like a keeping it where it needed to be rather than a lack of or something. So,
well, the scurvy one is true. Vitamin D.
Is
it vitamin D?
Vitamin C. Don't know.
It's vitamin C for scurvy, right? And vitamin D for rickets. That's the one. I'm actually going to read out Mark's comment. According to Mark Howison, Trump's superhero name, the Projectionist, his powers, his astounding ability to project all his faults onto others, watch as he ignores the world around him, and protects a never land he has concocted in his own head. Watch as he projects his own insecurities onto the entire world. So I'm going to guess Mark is not a huge Donald Trump fan.
Doesn't seem like it, does it?
I think it's the first time I've ever got political on this show.
Mm.
No, I tell you a lie. There's one time I got political when someone typed out something like "Boris is a hunt," and I read it without thinking. Yeah.
People do that, mate. People do that.
Yeah.
I had something in my head, and that thing has dropped out of my head.
In your head.
Which is a shame. Do you like how I filled there where you were reading and I was like, oh, I'll talk now, and then that will give us no dead air, which was nice.
Hey, wait. There's nothing wrong with dead air. Look, what is it? Comfortable silence in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
If we sit perfectly still, people will think we've frozen.
You political? Never. Thanks, Samantha.
One thing that I did, that was it. It's come back to me. I don't know how to get the comments up onto the screen. So I presume that that's because you have a level of settings that I don't have, which we can discuss probably at another point.
I thought you had admin powers.
Hold on. Is it that button there that says comments? Yes. There we go.
Give that a click and you can lift those up. Do you want to give Marks a go? You want to click Marks? There you go. I'm a fan of Doge.
Is that the coin or the government department?
I'm assuming the government department, because from what I understand on the news, it kind of makes sense. They've hired someone who's very good at business to go through government spending and go, why is this wasted? And every time I hear about it on YouTube or different news outlets, there are things that the American government have been spending on. You're just like, that's ridiculous. So it kind of makes sense.
I remember a story being told from somebody that I used to know who worked in a department in a government institution, like one of the service providers that the government puts on for us as taxpayers. And this person had not been trained how to order paper, and had gone on her first day, and they were like, "Go order the paper," and she was like, "Okay." Went and ordered the paper, and it was like £32 a box for the paper, because that was what came up on the procurement system. So she just ordered it, kept ordering it for 2 years, and this department processed somewhere in the region of like 2,000 letters a week that went out to people who were engaged with this department. So it turned out further down the track that she'd been ordering the wrong box of paper, and that the box of paper she should have been ordering was £8, not £32, and had ordered that premium paper. So everyone's got a really nice premium paper, but had been doing that for 2 years just because the system allowed it. So yeah, it's easy done, right? It's easy done. Those kind of things.
Okay, actually, a question for you, right? You head up integrations of Free Agent, right?
Bits of it, yeah.
Okay. How do you decide who to integrate with? Because there's so many things out there, but you want to have as much. This is where my sounding. You want to have as much functionality for your platform as possible, but at the same time, you don't want dross. I can only assume you don't want to just connect with any Tom, Dick, and/or Harry, right?
So, an excellent question that we've given a lot of consideration to and have a very clear approach on. So, what we did by inaction, really, or by previous kind of approaches, which was that we wanted to integrate with some, but like it wasn't a big focus for us as a business in the same way that it was for our competitors. And then what we kind of worked out as a business was that actually where we wanted to be was, if practice comes to talk to Free Agent about integrating, and they have like, your typical tech stacks, and not like obscure things that we've never heard of, but like there are a core set of 50 to 100 apps that practices use for 98% of their processes, right? We wanted to be in a position where those apps, when we go, I use, let's say, Dext and TaxCalc and Engager app, tick, 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 not tick, cross, does it, but not very much, or, there could be a much deeper integration. So it's more about like when those hurdles of like, if somebody wants to use Free Agent, we don't want to put in the way a barrier of, we don't integrate with your practice management tool or your payroll tool or your tax tool. And therefore we kind of then go out to those particular ones. And actually our integration coverage is pretty good. There's still some that we would we'd love to get over the line, and pretty much everyone that you can think of that would be on that list of like, yeah, I'd really like to see that we're either talking to, and you'll either happen sort of sooner or maybe later or maybe not at all, but like that bit's quite small. So it's about sort of like a problem-led approach, and about we can sit back and we can see the 50, 100, 200 apps that, cover 98% of that space there. And they're the ones that we want to prioritize. That was not to say that we're not happy to integrate with other folks who don't sort of necessarily fall within that, or who are new into the space. So, like Mimo is a good example, right? They've not been around that long, but we can just, from talking to the guys there and to see how they've been, received by the market, we know that they're going to be around. They're going to be a big player in that space. So that's the logic there. And we have these sort of 3 or 4 key focus areas where we think that they have an outsized importance to the core functionality of what we're doing. So like practice management, reporting, payments, that sort of stuff. That allows us to kind of go after them with priority, because we don't have a massive team. But we like to work very closely with a smaller number of integrations, and we do things like have shared Slack channels with them, and we'll make changes to the API to allow them to
quality, not quantity for you guys.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that is the case, and it is seems to be working. Like we've had a lot of good feedback on interacting with us on how our API functions, and also like from practices on like, do you know what? 2 years ago, maybe I couldn't choose you because you didn't integrate with X, Y, Z, and now you do integrate with those, or maybe you integrate with some of them, and now some of them are still on the way. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and we've made a ton of progress over the course of the last 18 months. So, and a huge amount of the credit goes not to me at all, but to Jem, who manages on a day-to-day basis, and Stu, who manages the product side of things, James, Mark, Tom, and Beatrice as well. So, yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Have you had the grill out yet?
Yes and no. So yes, because the cover for my grill split and it's now out.
You know what I meant.
I haven't used it yet. No, but I have got.
You're so cute when you're coy.
Yeah. I have got some meat in the freezer to make some burgers, so it won't be long. You?
Yeah, man, I've been grilling since January. I'm good.
Of course you have. Yeah, my game is tight.
Well, it frees up oven space.
Yeah, it's just we got quite a lot going on in the area that the grill is in from a sort of DIY and garden perspective. So as we had a new roof on our house, it's all sort of messed up. I haven't really got into creating myself a nice little space to be grilling again. So, but yeah, I definitely need to get on with it. So
you do.
Thanks for that nudge.
You're welcome, buddy. Anytime.
Thank you. I'm thinking that now might be an appropriate juncture for us to wrap things up. We've gone longer than I thought we would on our first dalliances into nonsense, and that would give me a nice 10 minutes before my next engagement.
Cool. In that case, thank you, Mark and Sam and Simon, for commenting. Anyone else who's watching but didn't comment, shame on you. No, I'm joking. Thank you for watching. This is the first ever Tony and Dale collab. No guests, just waffling, shooting the breeze.
Pure
FM.
Nonsense. Indeed.
Pure nonsense. Cool. It's been a blast. End stream. Out now. Let's go.
As always.